Hi, my name is Kristi. When I was a teenager, I spent my summers working at a scout camp, and it was in the middle of the forest, sandwiched between Yellowstone National Park and the Grand Tetons. And it was gorgeous. We had a beautiful lake. It was freezing cold, but it was beautiful. Tall trees, wildflowers everywhere, wildlife. There were a lot of things that I got to do for the first time. I got to go rock climbing and rappelling, kayaking and sailing. And this is really where my love for nature and for outdoor recreation really blossomed. I felt so at home in the mountains. I worked at the camp for 5 summers, and I learned to work hard. I gained new hobbies, I made friends, and I even met my husband. We would go hiking every Wednesday, my husband and I, to a waterfall in the backcountry of Yellowstone. It was 16 miles, and it was gorgeous. And that's kind of where we fell in love. We fell in love in the woods, and we got engaged on the side of a mountain. After we got married, we continued to go to scout camp for quite a few years. We spent 4 summers at a scout ranch in California. We spent 1 summer at a high adventure camp in Utah when I was pregnant with our first child. We had 1 summer where we were in the redwoods, and we had 2 young children. And then our last summer, we were in the Sierra Nevada mountains near Yosemite, and I had 2 young children and a new baby. A lot of people thought we were crazy for taking our kids to scout camp, but it was a dream come true for them. They loved it. They played outside all day, every day. They played with rocks and sticks and in the dirt, and they had the time of their lives. They became little nature explorers and learned about the environment and about the wildlife and the plants, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, I want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all you can imagine. Oh, no matter what your path is, if you believe it, then anything can happen. Go, 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 raise your glass.
Before kids came along, my husband and I, every school break, we'd go on road trips, and we also started checking national parks off our bucket list. And when kids started joining the family, they just came along with us on our adventures. Family adventures are pretty awesome, and it's so rewarding and so neat to share something you love with your kids. Our kids love scrambling on rocks and making their way through slot canyons. That's one of their favorites. We swim in mountain lakes. We love spending time by the campfire, telling stories and roasting marshmallows. My youngest daughter was hiking when she was just a week old and camping just a couple months later. My family lived in the outdoors.
I want you to have it all.
Last May, my baby girl was born. My 4th and last child was born, and I had these goals and dreams of climbing more and climbing a grade higher and keeping up with my husband on his mountain bike when we went mountain biking, and even to go into some more technical slot canyons. I started going to an indoor rock climbing gym to get back into shape. And I would go in and I would work on the bouldering wall. And bouldering walls aren't very tall, and instead of using ropes and harnesses, there are thick pads that you use for protection. On October 4th, I got up early to go climbing, and I would usually warm up by choosing one climb, just an easier climb, and I'd go up and down it 4 times just to warm up, and then I would go and do some other climbs. And on my 4th time, I was climbing down and my foot slipped when I was about 8 feet above the ground, and I fell. When my feet hit the mat, I felt a shock wave go up through my body, and my legs went numb. I wasn't in a lot of pain initially. I think I was just mostly in shock at what had happened, and I thought, what have I done? And there were some other climbers there, and they went and got my phone, so I called my husband, and I told him he had to take the day off of work because he needed to meet me at the hospital. The ambulance came, and they put me on a wooden stretcher and strapped me down, and that's when I first started feeling like I was in a lot of pain. I hadn't really felt it until then. My paramedics had some really weird curly mustaches, but that's about all I remember. After x-rays and a CT scan, they found that I had a burst fracture of my T12 vertebrae, and I had injured my spinal cord. I was paralyzed from the waist down.
My mind's been stuck in the in-between, been trying to find an answer for the last 3 weeks. I can't go back, I can't go back.
I had to go in for surgery immediately. They had to go in and clean out bone fragments and then decompress my spine and put in rods and pins to keep my spine in place. A few days later, I went in for a second surgery, and they put what they called a cage in my spine in the place where my vertebrae once was. I was in the hospital for 5 weeks. 4 of them were in inpatient rehab. My doctors and my therapist there and my nurses were great, but their main purpose was to get me independent in a wheelchair and to get me home. I never felt like there was hope for anything else.
I can't go back, I can't go back. Now I finally know.
She can do it. Mom, you dance. You're coming down. Hi, Mom. Little ball. Hi, Mom. Pass the ball. Do it. Hi.
The day out after I got out of rehab, I went to NeuroWorks for the first time for an evaluation. And I have been going there ever since, 3 times a week ever since. They are amazing. The first time I went there, they gave me something I hadn't had in a while, and they gave me hope. They have always been super supportive and encouraging and have helped me to reach goals. And I felt like everyone there has a good understanding of what I'm going through. And they have been incredible. And I know that I am where I am today. I've made the progress that I've made today because of them.
I'm standing.
Every single day of my life. Oh, I can't believe it only gets better and better and better. Every single day of my life.
I have to do things differently now, and I am very creative in how I get things done, even though my life is not where I thought it would be, even though my life is very different, and my goals have now even changed. I still have a life, and I am happy.
She's walking.